Now, there's a lot that goes into acquiring every Pokemon where I am the original trainer of it from its home region, right? That would mean I needed to buy every Pokemon game or own almost every Pokemon game, correct? Well, I in fact do, chat. I have almost every Pokemon game possibly acquirable. I have every virtual console game that has ever been released, including Pokemon Home, Poke Transporter, the Dream Radar, the Sun and Moon special demo. And in finishing all of these games, you do in fact acquire several different copies of legendary Pokemon. And what I have done over the course of my hiatus is sort my Pokedex and my legendaries in such a way that they are newly organized if you have seen this tour before. And if you even have seen this tour before, you have never seen the living Pokedex I'm about to present to everybody. I have never shown it completed in this form. It is 100% done. And in order for me to prove to you that every Pokemon that I own originates from what I call its furthest region, I guess I first have to explain to you what an origin mark is when you read the summary screen on a Pokemon. I think the best way I can exemplify that here is to show you these legendary Pokemon and quickly go over how we can assess what generation a Pokemon comes from when we look at the summary screen. Now, this is also showing you what it's like to have doubles, triples, quadruples. This is what your legendary inventory looks like when you've played almost every Pokemon game. And I'll quickly show you some origin marks so we can distinguish what game some of these Pokemon come from, and also allow you yourself to see the origin marks associated with what region these Pokemon arrive from, what instance of their region. Now here we have an Articuno from the Kanto region, right? We have several versions of games that take place in the Kanto region. We have, of course, Red, Blue, and Yellow. We have Fire Red and Leaf Green. We have Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, right? Kind of a technicality here. You even have the Kanto region that you can visit in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. We're gonna knock that last one off real quick because I'll tell you, the way the game generates this region data here is by assessing what game cart a Pokemon originates from. So, if we caught a Pokemon in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Kanto, the game would read it from Johto. Just know that. Just a little trivia. But in regards to Kanto, how can we tell that this one came from Heart Gold, Soul Silver? How can we tell that this one came from, Fire Red, Leaf Green versus Red, Blue, Yellow versus Let's Go Pikachu, Eevee? Well, we can do that through the assessment of an origin mark or the lack of an origin mark. This one has no origin mark, which means it came from the Game Boy Advance era. I'll show you the origin mark here on this next one here. This says this Articuno arrived from Kanto in the good old days, chat. The good old days Kanto, and look at the very, very top of the screen there with the Pokemon's level, right? We have a Game Boy icon right there. That'll show up on the summary screen of every game this Pokemon visits to show you that this Pokemon originates from Red, Blue, Yellow Virtual Console. This Articuno here also originates from the Kanto region. But look at the origin mark, chat. You have the, I call it the Pikachu Eevee mark. It's a silhouette that's sort of designed to look indistinguishable from both of those Pokemon. So you have the Let's Go mark right there, the Pikachu Eevee mark. And now back to back to back, here is an Articuno from the Kanto region in Fire Red and Leaf Green, because the Game Boy Advance era games did not have origin marks. Think back to when you played Fire Red, Leaf Green, Gold, Silver, Fire Red, Leaf Green, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, even Black and White. Those games did not have origin marks, right? They don't have the little symbols on the summary screens. So that's how you can see. Anytime you see a Pokemon here from the Kanto region with no mark, that's from the Game Boy Advanced era. This one here, the good old days, that's from the Black and White or the Game Boy Color era. This comes from Virtual Console 1 and 2, Gens 1 and 2. This is the 3DS era re-release of Generations 1 and 2. You cannot transfer Pokemon from your Game Boy and your Game Boy Color. That was severed. Game Boy Advance does not connect to those, so you need to migrate Pokemon from Generation 1 and 2 using your 3DS Virtual Console copy. Let's continue and look at some other origin marks before we continue onward. Another one from Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, because I have both versions, and you can see the date difference there. Another one from... here's one from the Johto region, because I imported it from my gold version copy. So even though it has one of the same IDs, I believe... No, it doesn't have... What ID is that? I guess I did play through yellow, red, and blue. This one's imported from the Johto region, so it has the distinction of coming from gold version. This is a coin case glitch duplicate. Very easy. It's so easy to duplicate Pokemon in Generations 1 and 2 and 3, chat, that I duplicated my Articuno, and I used the coin case glitch to shinify Articuno. You can use the coin case glitch in your Virtual Console, your Generation 2 Virtual Console game to shinify any Pokemon, and it will pass Pokemon Home's legality checker. So this is how I've acquired shinies of all of the legendary birds native to Johto in the good old days. I can even show that video off. There's always someone who wants to see the shinification video that I always pull up. I'll link that at the end if y'all want, because I use quite a bit of glitches to acquire some of these. But they're all in-game glitches, but I digress. Here is an Articuno from the Johto region with the lack of an origin mark, which means this Articuno comes from Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Unlike this Articuno that has arrived from Gen 2 Virtual Console Gold, Silver, Crystal. Let's continue. What else we got? This one's from the Sinnoh region. This is from Platinum version. In Platinum version, the legendary birds are roaming in the post-game, and you can only catch these in Platinum, not in Diamond or Pearl, so you know that this one came from the Sinnoh region. And how do I know that this one did not come from the Sinnoh region in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl's Ramanas Park? Because this one has an origin mark, chat. So we can even distinguish between Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, as well as Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Here's one from the Alola region. Now, I played Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon, so you're gonna see a lot of Pokemon with the Clover mark there, the Alola mark, and you will even be able to scrutinize my different IDs here to prove that none of these are duplicates. So here's two from, presumably from Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, I can tell by the IDs. Here's one from the Galar region. And that's not all, chat. I played Sword and Shield, so I have two from the Galar region. And hey, let's catch a glimpse at the Galar region mark right there. That is the Generation, I'm losing count here, Generation 8 region mark. Pokemon that originate from Galar and Pokemon Home during Generation 8 will have that distinct marking. Alola and Galar, unfortunately, fortunately for us actually, do not have another instance of their region, so it's very easy to speed read their bios. Let's see what else we have. We should have two from Paldea. We sure do. We sure do, chat. So here are my Articunos from the Paldea region, the Snackworth legendaries, the internet calls them. You get them post-game in the Blueberry Academy. Let's see. Let's tour some other region marks. Here's my Galarian Articuno from Galar, of course. Now, the Kanto birds, you're gonna see the same region marks, so I'm gonna skip ahead of these. Here's the Johto region from the good old days. Here's the Johto region from Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Here's the Sinnoh region from Platinum. Here's the Sinnoh region from Ramanas Park and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Let's see. We have Moltres from the... Honestly, anytime one of the birds is available, mostly the other ones are available, so you're going to see a lot of the same region marks, so I'm going to speed read some of these just to show them. Let's skip ahead. let's skip ahead and find some more interesting origin marks. Let's find origin marks from... Let's go to a Generation 4 Pokemon. There's some pretty interesting modern origin marks here. Okay. Let's take a look at the Lake Trio. Yes. I know, someone always asks. Yes, this is multiple shiny Lugias, but like I said, guys, it's very easy to come by shinies in Generation 1 and 2 because you can duplicate them and you can coin case glitch them to shinify them. None of these are dupes. Only one of these are dupes. The shiny is a dupe of a non-shiny. Here, screw it. Let's prove it. I know we said we were going to check some other origin marks. Here we go. Here is, one of the oldest Pokemon in my possession, guys. The 10th anniversary Raikou. I have GameStop shiny Raikou from 2011. I have my Raikou from the Johto region in the good old days. That's from Gold version. My original run through the Crystal version, which I kind of named myself Crystal, but I had to speed run through that game again and name myself Tommy, just so I could get an OT Tommy Celebi, which I did like 2 weeks ago. So Crystal save files unfortunately deleted, but this ID number lives on in that I basically shiny coin case duplicated everything. Here is, what else we got? My coin case dupe of my shiny Raikou, Crystal's coin case dupe of Raikou. Here is, a good example of the origin mark of Hoenn. When you see Hoenn with this mark right here, that's the Generation 6 origin mark. So this one comes from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, not Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Here is the 2018 Legends giveaway Raikou. I should have 2 of these. I had 4 copies of Sun and Moon. So I had Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. So I should have more than one of these. These are all in Cherish Balls. So please notice the special Pokeball. John, thank you for the cheer. Thank you. You're joining us at quite a hype time. My definitive Pokemon home tour. This Raikou is in a Cherish Ball, an event-only Pokeball. And it has the OT 2018 Legends. Here's mine from the Alola region. That's from the Ultra Wormhole. There's my other 2018 Legends. Ethan is the name of my original Soul Silver file. For those who don't know, Ethan is the canon name of the Gen 4 male presenting pro tag. Shiny-fied, shiny coin case glitch Mewtwo. What else we got? Mewtwo from the Sinnoh region, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. Mewtwo from the Kalos region. I just did this recently, chat. I finished our Kalos region run off stream, and I had to catch all the Pokemon for this Pokedex. So here's that Mewtwo from the cave in the post-game in Kalos. Here's one from Ultra Sun. Here's one from Ultra Moon. Here's one from the Dynamax Raid Adventures, and another. And here's one from the Snackworth Legendaries. And I should have another. Maybe. Oh, that one's battle ready. Never mind. But I digress. There's some more origin marks. There's some proof that none of these shinies are dupes, none of these excessive legendaries are dupes. The shiny coin case glitch ones are dupes. Here's one from the Kanto region. This one you get. This one is tied to your starter. Depending on what starter you pick in Kanto, you get a roaming legendary beast in Fire Red and Leaf Green. This one is the GameStop shiny giveaway from 2011. This one is from my original run of Soul Silver. This one is from my run of Gold version. This one is from my run of Crystal version. This one is my shiny coin case glitch dupe from Crystal version. Gold version shiny coin case glitch. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. Sun, Moon, 2018 Legends. So again, we're kind of running into the same, so I'm going to skip ahead. Let's show off some other origin marks. But yes, hopefully I've proven the authenticity of my Gens 1 through 3 shinies. Real quick, I'll even say, guys, go play Crystal version on your virtual console. Go get your shiny Celebi. Go get your Celebi right now. But when the Pokemon Bank and Pokemon Home continuity ends, you will no longer be able to catch a Celebi with your original trainer name, and it is very easy to use the shiny coin case glitch to legally shinify them. Roy, I haven't even gotten to the Living Pokedex and explained some of the hoops I had to jump through for my Living Pokedex, where every Pokemon originates from its furthest instance of its home region, right? So here's Regirock from Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and you can tell because back-to-back, Hoenn region. One has the origin mark, one does not have the origin mark. So here it is, back-to-back, a distinguishing feature of Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. This one's from Sinnoh. This one's from Platinum version. This one's from Sinnoh Ramanas Park. And again, you can tell because of the the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl origin mark. Let's skip ahead to, I wanted to go to the Gen 4 ones because I can show off some other origin marks that you don't usually get to see. Real quick, I want to spotlight, I have some Wishmaker Jirachis. I have the Pokemon Channel Jirachi. I have the the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl Save Data bonus Jirachi. I have, gosh, so many. What do my Rayquazas look like? Let's just look at them real quick. This one I can speed read and tell you is from Hoenn Emerald. This one I can speed read and tell you. Let's see. Where are you from? Sinnoh? Oh, Johto. Gosh, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Johto. This one is from, let's speed read some origin marks. I could tell you Ethan is the original trainer of Soul Silver. That one's from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire from the origin mark. That one's from Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl from the origin mark. Sun, Moon, Dynamax Raid Adventures 1, Dynamax Raid Adventures 2, Snackworth. So now I'm at the point where I could speedrun these with the origin mark or lack thereof. But for you, viewer, I'm going to go ahead and show you more of these. Hey, shout out to the one shiny I accidentally happened upon in the Dynamax Raid Adventures. My shiny Uxie. Thank you also, Law, for the compliment on how impressive my obsessive hoarding of every copy of every legendary I've ever received is. Let's check out some Gen 4 legendaries. There's some proof in the pudding here. Okay. Soul Silver Native Johto, Soul Silver Native Dialga. And this one's level 1, which means that Ethan took a what's the Pokemon I'm looking for? Arceus to, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Ruins of Alph, traveled to the Sinnoh ruins and experienced a very niche event where Cynthia and player character both get to witness the birth of a Pokemon egg. So this Dialga was created in front of our very eyes in an event and is level 1. It hatches level 1, so it's kind of awesome. Dialga from the Hoenn region as part of the legendary gauntlet in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. Ooh, here's one. Dialga from the Hisui region, chat. This one came from Legends Arceus. And hey, check it out. Another one from the Hisui region. And check the ball, chat. Check the ball. The difference between these two is that you only get one origin ball per playthrough. You have one origin ball per playthrough. So when I skip ahead a little bit and I show you my Palkia here, and I show you my Palkia in an origin ball here, that should prove to you, viewer, that I finished Legends Arceus twice, okay? And a further bit of a little bit of an achievement here, another little achievement here. I have a Hisui native Arceus, which is only acquirable through completing the entire Pokedex in Legends Arceus. So this proves I have finished a copy of Legends Arceus right here. Let's go back. Let's see some other interesting legendaries. I would be remiss if I did not spotlight the time Matsu, shout out to Matsu, he was here in chat a moment ago, I think he's still here. Matsu, shiny RNG manipulated me. A freaking shiny Arceus. You're a real one, bro. I freaking laugh every time I see this thing. Check out the name, God, I guess, question mark. Here is another one of my oldest Pokemon in my possession. The Toys R Us Arceus from 2009, which I have 2 of because I had more than a few copies of Gen 4 games. So that's another one of my tried and true possessions right there. Here is my extra Game Freak Shamans from the event back in X and Y, I believe? Or no, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, I believe. Yeah, Oris. Here is the one from the recent re-release. Thank you, this is Chrissy's. Chrissy traded me one of my spare Shamans because I needed a Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl native Shaman because I unfortunately missed the event So, oh gosh, Chrissy, you have no idea. I'm taking good care. Here is the Hisui native Shaman that you get for having save data on other Pokemon games and playing a copy of Legends Arceus. Fun fact, chat, you could not deposit Skyform Shaman into your Pokedex until Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Legends Arceus were re-released. Any attempt to deposit a Skyform Shaman into your box and into your bank and into your home would revert it into its old form. So this in itself right here is very, very tough to acquire. What else do we have? I have the Movie 14 Victini giveaway. I have the Game Freak giveaway for Victini. Let's see some of my, let's see what some of my Gen 5s are. You're from the Hoenn region. So post-game Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, the lore is that Hoopa is pulling Pokemon from all over the universe, the worlds of Pokemon, and allowing you to acquire them here in Hoenn. So that's why you'll see a lot of legendaries from various generations native to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire Hoenn. That's part of the post-game legendary gauntlet, right? So Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire native Cobalion, Unova native Cobalion. Notice, no origin mark, but we don't need an origin mark for a game from Unova because there are no other games from Unova, right? So anytime we see a Pokemon with the ID Unova, we know that this came from Black, White, Black 2, or White 2. Another one from the Unova region. I own 2 copies of Black and 1 of White 2. Don't ask. It's a weird compilation of games I own, but that's the ones I got, okay? This one is from the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Ultra Wormhole, a lot of Ultras in there. The Ultra Wormhole Gauntlets from Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon here. This one's from the Dynamax Raid Adventures from Sword and Shield. These 2 are from Paldea, from Scarlet and Violet. Yeah, looks like I didn't need the remakes after all, and looks like I still get to win on meeting the requirement of technically beating the Gen 5 remakes, huh? Let's check out some of these. Okay, a significant one here. I have the Dream Radar exclusive Tornadus, Thundurus, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, Lugia, and Ho-Oh. I forgot to go back and prove that, but let's go back and look at Lugia and Ho-Oh. Those are fun. Now, what makes these special is that these have their hidden abilities. These were released through owning. You have to have the physical copy of the game, of Heart Gold, of Soul Silver, of Diamond, of Pearl, of Platinum, in order to acquire the Dream Ball hidden ability, Unova native version of this Pokemon. And you can tell I did this on an early save file because they are very low level. So level 10 Ho-Oh, that is authentic. This is from the Dream Radar. This is from me owning a physical copy of Heart Gold. I've got a Lugia just like that for owning a physical copy of Soul Silver. I've got a Giratina just like that for owning a physical copy of Platinum. Same with Diamond and Pearl. And here, back to the genies, I have Tornadus, Landorus, and Thundurus in their... Where's my... Okay, there I was about to panic. Where's my Dream Ball Thundurus? The Dream Ball Thundurus here from the Dream Radar. Guys, do you remember the 3DS when it launched? Do you remember Face Raiders? That funny little free app? Dream Radar was essentially the Pokemon version of that, and you would link it to your Black 2, White 2, and you could import Pokemon from that. So these are very, very obscure copies of these legendaries. Yeah, I can hear that funny, weird sound at the app screen now when I said Face Raiders. So more legends, more from Black, more from White, more Kyurems here. These are all from various regions. Let's speed read the markings here since I've shown you most of them. That one has no mark. I can tell it's from the Unova region. That one has no mark as well. I can tell that's from my other copy of the Unova region. Here's probably... What are you from? Did I catch you in a dive ball in the Unova region? Oh my god, what the heck? That's crazy, Tommy. What else do I have here? This one's from Ultra Sun. This one's from Ultra Moon. The next 2 are probably from the Dynamax Sword Shield Raid Adventures. They sure are. The next 2 are probably from the Snackwork Legendaries in Paldea. They sure are. See, once I organize these all by region just to help you learn some region marks. Here, we haven't really shown off some of the region marks for Kalos, but, you know, easy one. XYZ, this is an event legendary. This one comes from the Hoenn region. This one comes from the Alola region. You can tell from the mark there. Another one. This is the 2018 Legends giveaway. So I have 2 of these since I own so many copies of Gen 7 games. Here's my 2 Zygardes from the Dynamax Raid Adventures. Here's my 2 from, oh yeah, the Alola region. These guys. I forgot about these guys. I didn't find a Kalos region mark. Let's go here. Kalos region mark is that same shape as the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire region mark. It just says from Kalos. They both share the same region mark. A generation usually shares the same region mark. It's uncommon to deviate, but we still deviate every now and then. But I digress. 3DS era Kalos and 3DS era Hoenn are both, they both look like this at the summary screen. So chat, now that I've educated you on origin marks, I'm going to skip these. You know what the Alola origin mark looks like. But I am kind of showing off some of my legendaries here. Okay. One more to show off. Okay? This Magearna is part of a glitched distribution. I am one of the few who own a very rare, bugged giveaway copy of the Magearna that was supposed to be given to trainers who completed their living Pokedex in Pokemon Home. I imported my living dex the day Home launched, so I got this the day Home was released. This does not show the medals, but what is glitched about this Magearna is that it is supposed to be its true color, not shiny. Magearna has another color palette called True Color Magearna. Shiny Magearna has never been released. True Color Magearna has only been released through completing your living Pokedex in Pokemon Home, but this is my Magearna that I received as a bug. It has the wrong level. It has the wrong Pokeball. So I am very happy about that. You might think this is kind of crazy, but no. This was a simple GameStop giveaway. The original trainer, Ultra Shiny Poipole. And I played Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, so I have 2. Same goes for these Poipoles here for Paldea, or for Scarlet Fire. No, I'm sorry, Sword and Shield. This is a Japanese event. I actually received this in a Wonder Trade, and I had to check its authenticity. There is an event dex that you can scrutinize a Pokemon. A lot of times, a casual fan will come to me and say, hey, can you tell me if this Pokemon is legal? And the answer is, at a glance, no. No, I cannot. I'm going to tell you what I do to check a Pokemon's legality. I go to Google, I type Cerebi event dex. You can search any Pokemon by dex number. I hit Control F, and I search this ID number, because all of the event IDs are very particular. All of the original trainer names are very particular. All of the obtain dates are very particular. So if you can cross-reference the ID number, the date obtained, and the name of the original trainer, that's how I'm gonna know it's authentic. So if I receive this in a trade, chat, and you ask me, how do you know it's real? Chat, I don't. But if I gave something away and I received it and I can cross-reference this as legal, that's what Tommy calls that a law of equivalent exchange trade. I gave up something, I got something, it's legal, it's mine. I'm not gonna delete it. I have received many shiny illegal Pokemon, many shiny illegal legendaries that I cross-reference as illegal, and I release them. There's no point in holding on to those. That's just ban me fodder, you know? But I digress. Let's continue our legendary tour. Ooh, the Fula City Zeraora. This was the only distribution of Zeraora, and here's the shiny home giveaway for Zeraora that we all won as a community, chat. Many of you might have this one. If you played Sword and Shield during the Zeraora raids, if you participated in the Zeraora raids, you were gifted a shiny Zeraora. We as a community had to defeat a certain amount, so I'm really happy that we made that milestone. That was me, Steph, and Vinny grinding that a lot. Here's my one spare Zamazenta for that one time I played through Shield version twice. Yeah, I don't remember doing that either, but I cross-referenced my IDs, and apparently I have a third freaking save file. Here's my Eternituses, because like I said, I played through Sword once and Shield twice. So I have 1 in my living dex and 2 dupes. Here is the Snackworth legendary Cubfoos. So these are Paldea native. You can tell by that origin mark again. So even though you're looking at Galar Pokemon, you can tell their origin marks. These are the Snackworth legendary copies of Glastier, Spectrier. Here's Urshifu from Mike. My buddy Mike gave me this. Thank you, Mike. You're the best. I need to EV train this guy up, actually. And my very, very humble 1 extra for playing through both Scarlet and Violet. of our legendaries. So chat, if you can believe it, we're not even done with the tour. We're not even done with the tour. That right there was the lead up to the Living Dex tour. I just taught you how to read origin marks, okay? Okay, chat. Okay, chat. Let's start the tour. And let's explain a few things here as we go. I taught you a moment ago how to distinguish a Pokemon from Kanto from Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, from Kanto from Fire Red and Leaf Green, from Kanto from Virtual Console Red, Blue, Yellow. So when I say that my Pokemon come from the furthest instance of their home region in regards to forward compatibility. Hi, Melon! So nice to see you, friend. When I say that I am striving to get a Pokedex where every Pokemon comes from its furthest instance of its home region, right, chat? What region does that mean I would get my Pokemon in generations 1 and 2 from? Because you have the Gen 3 and the Gen 1 remakes, right? Well, if I have to answer that, I kind of have to bust out this crazy chart, and I have to explain what the furthest instance of a home region is, right? Okay. Don't get scared. I know that that chart is extremely convoluted. The only thing I want you to pay attention to is the Pokemon Home icon, right? And all of the arrows going into Pokemon Home. Next, look slightly to the left at the Pokemon Bank icon. Bank is the 3DS era storage system. We're gonna count how many arrows it takes to get to the Kanto region, right? I see 3 instances of the Kanto region right there, and they're all the bottom bubbles there. You have Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, which is 1 arrow, right? You have the Virtual Console games, which is 2 arrows away from Pokemon Home, because you have the Virtual Console into Pokemon Bank and into Pokemon Home, right? Then you have the Game Boy Advanced era games. Generation 3, technically released later than Gens 1 and 2, but remember, we can't import from the original release of Gen 1 and 2. We can only go through the Virtual Console. So, the furthest instance of the Kanto region in regards to forward compatibility would be not Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, not Fire Red and Leaf Green, or not Virtual Console Red, Blue, Yellow, but in fact, Fire Red Leaf Green, which is 1, 2, 3, I'm not counting any of the arrows inside the bank bubble, 4 arrows away. So that is the furthest instance of the Kanto region. That is also the furthest instance of the Hoenn region. The Nintendo DS era has Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, and I just distinguished those origin marks for you. We saw the lack of an origin mark, meaning the Pokemon came from Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum in the Nintendo DS era. We saw that awkward-looking triangle origin mark shown on some of the legendaries that come from Ramanas Park, from Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. I even showed you a Hisui native Dialga, Palkia, and Arceus to show you what the Hisui origin mark looks like for that instance of the Sinnoh region. The furthest instance of the Sinnoh region from my living Pokedex is going to be Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Black and White's an easy one. There's 1 instance of that region. X and Y's an easy one. There's 1 instance of that region. Alola is an easy one. There's 1 instance of that region. And it gets much easier from there. So that is the whole point of showing you this little chart, to prove to you that generations 1 and 2 are actually closer in steps regarding forward migration when it comes to assessing the most difficult and time-consuming way to import a Pokemon. So, with that being said, whenever I show you this living Pokedex in generations 1 and 3, please know that they were migrated 6 at a time, because you can only migrate 6 Pokemon at a time from generation 3 to 4. You have to physically run around in what is called Pal Park, a post-game unlocked area that is very much like the Safari Zone, except you're essentially throwing Master Balls to quick import your Pokemon. So here we are, our Bulbasaur from the Kanto region, with no origin marks, which does indeed prove that I am the OT, and it is from Fire Red and Leaf Green. You're going to see the same here for Ivysaur and Venusaur, and for the Kanto region, I decided to grab our gender differences from Kanto region in the good old days, because I just wanted to throw some kind of acknowledgement to the Virtual Console games. So I wanted to have every origin mark I possibly could. And I also think it's fun fact, chat. In Generation 1, Pokemon do not have genders assigned to their data. They receive a gender when they are imported to either Gen 2 Virtual Console through a trade, or migrated through the Poke Transporter through, I wish you could see my mouse here, actually. Migrated through the Poke Transporter here on Virtual Console. They'll be assigned a gender there. So the way I did this was, I looked up every Pokemon in Gen 1 with a gender difference, caught it first in Gen 1, imported it, knowing the genders of the Pokemon that I had already acquired, and then went back to Fire Red and Leaf Green to grab the rest of the Pokemon needed. Now, you might have even also asked Tommy, how did you acquire all 3 starters with a copy of only Fire Red and Leaf Green? I got lucky, chat. When I bought my used copy of Leaf Green, I inherited an original trainer named Legs, all caps Legs. You might have even, eagle-eyed viewers might have even seen Legs, original trainer Legs, Zapdos, Moltres, and Articuno when I was showing you origin marks. Legs provided me with a Blastoise, and I was able to carry that Blastoise over to my other Gen 3 games, hold on to it, start a new save, and then trade it back. So I have the unsung hero of my previously owned Fire Red Leaf Green cartridge to thank for acquiring all 3 starters. So that is how I have Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur. Easy stuff here. You got your Caterpie, Metapod, your Butterfree from Kanto region, and you have 1 gender difference from the good old days, just to throw some acknowledgement to the Virtual Console games. And you have the Alolan forms native to their other region. Now, part of me wrestled with the idea of getting these Pokemon from Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, because you do technically acquire 1 copy of it, but I don't think you're the original trainer, and I thought it would be more authentic to acquire the Alolan forms from their original region. So here's a Alolan Rattata from Alola. Here's gender difference Rattata from the good old days. Raticate, Alolan Raticate from Alola. Gender difference Raticate from the good old days. So you're gonna see a lot of because I could. I did it because I could. Oh god. Well, I do indeed have every single one of these obnoxious Pikachu hat Pikachus. I had to trade for a lot of them. I had to give away so many things to get some of these. I forgot to log in for a lot of the events for these. So these were some high trade value Pokemon that I needed to acquire. Here is gender difference Pikachu from the good old days. I love the heart tail. Here's gender difference Raichu, Alolan Raichu, Alolan Sandshrew, and, pay attention to the origin mark and lack thereof. These are all from Kanto, from Fire Red and Leaf Green. Gonna skip ahead because there's only so many stories I can tell with these guys here, but you're getting the point. Let's speed read some origin marks. I taught you how to do that earlier. Kanto, since you don't see an origin mark. Alola, Kanto, Alola, Alola here, Galar here, Alola here, Hisui here for our little Growlithe friend. Another Arcanine from Hisui here. We have Galarian Rapidash, Galarian Ponyta, Galarian Slowbro. I want to pause here at special mention of Porygon. Now, to those of you who might be aware, Porygon is a pain in the butt to acquire. You have to play the slot machines, right? Not me. I did something funny, chat. And this also, you're going to see, this also comes into play in my Generation 2, or my Generation 3 decks. I utilized the Emerald dupe glitch. The Emerald dupe glitch is almost identical to the Generation 2 dupe glitch. The Emerald dupe glitch is not present in Fire Red or Leaf Green or Ruby or Sapphire, pardon me, hence the name. So I didn't want to do the game corner. I instead busted out my link cable in the year... Let's check the year. 2 years ago I did this. I busted out my link cable. I traded a Nugget to Emerald version, and I duplicated as many nuggets necessary to trade back to Fire Red to insta-buy Porygon. I even duplicated many rare candies. I duplicated many difficult-to-obtain Pokemon in the process. And so Emerald remains near and dear to me because you are able to dupe items and Pokemon, and when you migrate a Pokemon from Generation 3 to 4, it is the only instance of forward migration where you get to hold on to your held items. So having access to the Emerald dupe glitch essentially allows me to power level any Pokemon in Generation 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, provided I take the time to mass duplicate rare candies, which I absolutely did. Hi, Gavin. Nice to see you, friend. I know you can appreciate what I'm about to ramble about over here. So this Porygon was acquired through many uses of the Emerald duplication glitch to fund my power leveling with rare candies for my living dexes, to fund my nuggets for my expensive coin case grabs here. Let's see. What else do we have here that's worth showing? Ammonite and Amistar, or Ammonite and Kabuto, that requires 2 playthroughs, of course. You can only get 1 fossil. Nothing too crazy here, but I did show you the origin marks. They're all from Kanto. The one exception here, chat. The one exception here is my Mew. This is the Pokeball Plus Mew. This is my Mew gifted to me for my purchase of Pokeball Plus during the Let's Go Pikachu Eevee release. This is the Mew that was installed in everybody's Pokeballs when they bought them. For your consideration, if that's not good enough for you, chat, I have a Hoenn native Mew. That's the event Mew, the in-game Mew, but it has a Hoenn OT. I tried to import it from Kanto just to get that origin mark, but it seems to hold on to that data. So I didn't consider this one justifiable for acquiring for my living Pokedex. And using the Emerald dupe glitch, I got a few. Here's one from Sinnoh for having the save data of Let's Go Pikachu Eevee. Here's one from Kalos, the Game Freak Cherish Ball event Kalos Mew. Here's another, since I own so many. Here's Mew from the Paldea region with a dark Terra typing. My other Paldea native Mew is in my my Battle Ready box, so that's why there's only one. But there you go. For your consideration, if that Mew there wasn't good enough for you, the Pokeball Plus Mew, I wanted to show you those. Onward to Heart Gold and Soul Silver. You're gonna notice that most of these have Johto and no origin mark, which means that they originate from Heart Gold and Soul Silver, not the Virtual Console re-releases on in the good old days, as the summary screen would specify. However, I do go out of my way, just like the Gen 1 decks, I went out of my way to acquire a few, as many as I could, of the Johto gender differences from the good old days. So here is Cyndaquil, the Johto starters, and now I did not have the leisure of acquiring an extra starter. So in order to get all 3 starters here, I had to start a new save of Gold and Silver. I had to get to the first gym. I had to trade a Totodile to my other Gen 4 games, hold on to it, wipe that save, play through Gold and Silver again together for Chikorita and Cyndaquil. And that's just what I did, chat. That's just what I did, okay? Ethan was the OT on my Soul Silver, and I shot myself in the foot there because I had to rebreed a lot of Ethan's Pokemon. So this was pretty tedious. But it's still all from Heart Gold, Soul Silver, with the exception of the Hisuian forms. Here is, again, some of the Galarian forms from that, from the other forms, some of the Johto in the good old days for, trying to look for one. Johto region in the good old days for some of the gender forms, not all of them, just some of them, just because I wanted to throw acknowledgement to the good old days in a little way that I could without compromising the difficulty of the challenge of getting them from their furthest instance of their home region. Because I think that is harder to do than getting them in Virtual Console, but I digressed. All of these are from Johto, some from Johto in the good old days, but here you have it, proof in the pudding. There's Paldea and Wooper. Johto region with no origin mark to specify that it came from the Game Boy, with the exception of just a few of them. I have, oh my gosh, Melon, thank you so much. Thank you very much for the tip. I appreciate that. Yeah, guys, if you like what you see, consider a tip. This was hard work. I really appreciate it, too. Thank you. Thanks again, Melon. I appreciate that. Johto region Pokemon here. More Johto region. Again, the occasional Johto from the good old days. Special shout out to this Unova. This unknown Dex here. Chat, you watched me catch these in real time. We streamed this revisit to Johto, chat. We streamed this revisit to Johto last year. We did this together. So there's all the unknown forms fully migrated. Here's all the rest of the Johto Pokemon, all from Heart Gold, Soul Silver, with the exception of a few of the gender differences from the good old days and the appropriate regional forms from their home regions. I'm just going to scroll through just to prove to you that they all come from Johto. That's important because I could be full of crap here, and I don't want to be full of crap, chat. I want to be 100% here with you, and I want to tell you every story that goes behind every interesting catch. And rest assured, we're kind of flying through it now, but I've got some very, very interesting stories to tell with the means that I acquired some of these. Okay, I said it earlier, chat. My first run-through of the Crystal version, my OT was Crystal. That was my mistake, because in my audit of my living dex, yes, I actually audited myself in my living dex. Yes, I have a Google Sheets spreadsheet that took me the entire month of February to type up. Yes, it's real. No, I'm not going to show it to you. It belongs in my brain and my brain only. I discovered that the only Celebes I own were OT Crystal and event Celebes, and once I realized that it was legally possible to obtain OT Tommy by going back to Johto region in the good old days, I literally did this earlier this month, chat. But hey, for your consideration, we'll go back, we'll show off some of the Celebes I have, because I'd be remiss if I did not show you my authentic Winter 2011 Celebi, my Crystal, OT Crystal Celebi from the good old days, my shiny coin case glitch duped OT Crystal Celebi, my other dupe, because why not have two? I can't help it, chat. 10th anniversary Celebi, Ilex Forest Celebi with the Cherish Ball. But yes, for your consideration, some other Celebes there that I wanted to show you, but I would still consider the most definitive to be the OT Me Celebi from Virtual Console Crystal, which will not be here much longer. Get it while you can, if you can. You can't even buy Crystal version on your 3DS anymore. Let's continue. The Hoenn region, chat. Now, here is what we're gonna do. I traded for the 10th anniversary Celebi, actually. I did not own that one. That one, I believe you had to be in person in the United States somewhere. So I did not go to, I think it's Bryant Park. I was recently, like I said, I basically audited myself. So like, I looked and scrutinized every event Pokemon in my possession, and I released all illegal Pokemon, if any. Because, you know, you do a lot of wonder trading over the years. So these are all authentic. Hoenn region. Hoenn region Pokemon here. I duplicated a lot of Hoenn region Pokemon, so you're gonna see 2 here with the same region, the nature. Now, I know it's plausible to generate 2 Pokemon with the same nature because, you know, that just happens sometimes. But full disclosure is full disclosure, chat. The Emerald dupe glitch is too tantalizing to pass up. Breeding Pokemon eggs in Gen 3 isn't entirely the slowest process, but it is nowhere near as quick as it is in modern games. So any time save shortcut that did not involve straight up power save editing, if I could use an in-game exploit, I can, I will, I did. So we have rare candy power leveled, the occasional duplicates here, and same method to acquire all 3 starters. Start the game, get to the first gym, trade it away, wipe the save, grab the other starters, and continue. Did the same thing here for these guys, and I'll go and prove their origin marks very quickly for you. We discovered earlier that the Hoenn region from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire would have the Gen 6 origin mark. But these do not, so these all come from Generation 3 Hoenn. That is to say, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and not Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, pardon me, stumbling on my words here. You'll notice the occasional origin mark appears, but that's only for the Galarian forms, or the Hisuian forms, if any. You're gonna see lots and lots and lots of Hoenn region. I decided not to take any gender differences from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire because I thought that was way too easy. It's way too quick to go grab those, and it's nowhere near as challenging to acquire these. So I thought for the authenticity of the challenge that I would not acquire any of these Pokemon from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire if possible, because again, it just makes this challenge so much easier. And yes, Gavin is a similar completionist to my standards, and it doesn't surprise me to hear that you would say that you utilize that same form of convenience, because if we're gonna be blunt here, chat, the game can't tell it's a different Pokemon, and it just saves me, a 33-year-old man with taxes to pay and a full-time job and responsibilities in life, a little bit of time. It just saves me the time of leveling Pokemon up. So, we have all of our Pokemon here from the Hoenn region in the Game Boy Advanced era, right? Nothing from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, nothing from any of these real simple, like, do-over region differences games, nothing, no re-release games. Everything is from its most authentic, most furthest instance of its home region. I was even grabbing some of these as recently as a few days ago. But I digress. All from the Hoenn region, chat. The only interesting ones I'd like to stop at and tell you about are the Deoxys, which I duplicated using the Emerald dupe glitch. So that is how I have 4 Deoxys of the same ID. I did not want to do this with legendaries unless I absolutely had to. So this is one of the rare instances where I did utilize a dupe glitch to acquire. And Wishmaker Jirachi, because I could not acquire a original trainer Tommy Hoenn native Jirachi. But for your consideration, I showed you earlier, let's show it one more time. It's not Hoenn native, but it is, I have the Pokemon Channel Jirachi from European copies of Pokemon Channel. I have my OT from Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, but it's not the right region, so I did not include that for consideration. So for my purposes of my decks, it's the Wishmaker Jirachi that I chose to represent Hoenn is the most appropriate, I feel. Let's quickly go back. We are now going to show you the Sinnoh region, chat. Okay, guys. I showed you the funny-looking triangle origin mark at the top of the summary screen for a Pokemon that originates from the much more convenient instance of the Sinnoh region, the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl era. These all originate from Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Please notice the lack of an origin mark one more time as we scroll through all of our Pokemon native to the Sinnoh region. Same story here for all 3 starters. I usually have to wipe the save after completing the first gym and trading the starter Pokemon. I was only fortunate enough to get the 3rd starter a few times in my constant acquisition of used game cartridges at mom-and-pop game stores. But most of these here are all from the Sinnoh region. You can see a months-long breaks in some of the dates here, maybe even a few years breaks in some of the dates here. And here is the next box here. Whoops, no, let's not rename that Pokedex box, please. Another box of Pokemon from the Sinnoh region here. All with my original trainer. All from the earliest instance of the Sinnoh region. All gender differences included. Nothing grabbed from Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl in regards to gender differences, because again, I thought that would be far too simple to just go grab them from a Switch game. And part of the purpose of this challenge is to show you I'm doing this without the convenience features of the modern era re-releases. And I am very thrilled to say that I even had the opportunity to do that with Generation 5 here, which is coming right up. But first, some very quick stops to explain some legendary acquisitions. Now, a lot of you might be asking, Tommy, how on earth did you get a Darkrai from the Sinnoh region in the year 2022? This is one of the final exploits that I utilized to finish this challenge. This exploit that I used is called the Private DNS exploit. Essentially, chat, back in the day, when we had events baked into our game through key items that were held behind event distributions, we would acquire those items through Wi-Fi events that were only available through a window of time. And when you connect to Wi-Fi, you're of course connecting to Nintendo's servers. The Private DNS exploit is essentially going into the settings of your DS or your 3DS era game, adjusting the IP address that you connect to, and essentially you're connecting to a private server to acquire any event item that you need to get your hands on. So that allows me to do the next best thing, because I don't have access to a time machine to go back in time to when this event originally aired, though rest assured, I was there in that moment in time, acquiring the authentic in key and Oak's letter and Gracidia flower and all that. Instead of going back in time with my time machine, I instead utilized the Private DNS exploit to acquire the key items necessary to generate the encounters for these Pokemon in their earliest instance of their home region. So here is the event Darkrai from Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, acquired through the Private DNS exploit. The only way I could possibly get these without outright cheating with an action replay device, which I don't want to do. I think it compromises the authenticity of the challenge. Here is a Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl native Shaman because, again, I didn't want to dupe legendaries. I did it in Emerald version because Emerald version has baked in a duplication glitch. Generation 4 does not have a duplication glitch baked into it, so I didn't want to duplicate a Shaman. I thought that would be cheesy. So here is a different Shaman with a different ID from a different instance of Sinnoh, and it is the one acknowledgement of the, or no, it's one of two acknowledgements of the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl era games that I had to go with. The second, of course, being Arceus, because we know the only two instances of Arceus with my original trainer being released would be the Hisui native Arceus, which you get for completing the game, which I showed you for your consideration earlier. There is also the Toys R Us Arceus, which I showed you that I have, but that is an event Pokemon. Although it does originate from Sinnoh in the DS era, I chose to have this Arceus from Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. I considered using the Hisui native one, but Hisui is not technically Sinnoh, so I didn't want to do that. But I digress. Here is Arceus, and another reminder that it was not possible to import Skyform Shaman until Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, because transforming Shaman in any other game, it'll revert its form when you deposit it. You could also get Darkrai that way too, but because I missed that event, I don't have it. So I straight up could not use it as my OT. Gotta love being in grief. But anyway, yes, I missed that distribution. Chrissy was kind enough to trade me that for my Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl native decks, which I'm working on off screen. But I will unfortunately never own, without cheating, I'll never own a Sinnoh, a Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl Sinnoh native Tommy original trainer Darkrai. So I have the next best thing, a DNS exploit acquired Darkrai from the Sinnoh region. Let's continue. Here, I have, this is the authentic in-game event for Victini. It comes from the Unova region. I am the original trainer. So it's not, I showed you the movie 14 Victini. I showed you Game Freaks Victini. Here is another thing. Here's basically what I'm debuting today. All of the Unova Pokemon from the Unova region. You can check the summary screen. We have no origin marks to compare them to because there are, quite simply put, no other instances of the Unova region, and I would not count the Blueberry Academy because those will be labeled as from Paldea. So we did not go to Paldea or Blueberry Academy for any of these Pokemon. We went to the Unova region. You will see some Hisui region origin marks here for some regional forms, but here's the proof in the frickin' pudding, chat. Black and white migrated, all from Unova. No help necessary from any of Pokemon Black and White's re-releases. So this was quite an endeavor. I did have to play through Black and White, both more than once, to acquire some of these legendaries that you're about to see, because you have many different forms of some of these. So it was very tedious, but here it is, chat. When Unova remakes come around, I'll never, ever, ever, if they come around after we just saw Legends, what are you calling this one? Pokemon Legends ZA? Freaking wild, bro. But I digress. More Unova native Pokemon here, all the way through the Pokedex. Everything from Unova. And let's get to our legendaries, and let's see what I can tell you about these guys. Okay. Unova caught Musketeer Trio. 2 separate playthroughs of Black or White or Black 2 or White 2 to acquire the Therian forms of Tornadus, the Therian forms of Landorus, the Therian forms of what's the one I didn't mention? Thundurus. Here's Reshiram, here's Zekrom. Here's 2 different ID numbers that feature these 2 here. Here's Kyurem, and thank freaking Pokegod, thank Arceus, I don't have to import a Kyurem Black and a Kyurem White because they are in battle only forms. It is not possible to deposit merged Pokemon. So thankfully, I did not have to play through Black and White another time to get 2 extra Kyurems, pardon me, to get an extra Reshiram, to get an extra Zekrom. Same goes for Meloetta. The other form of Meloetta is not depositable. It reverts forms immediately, so you don't have to get 2 forms of Meloetta. I hear you, naysayer, hypothetical naysayer in the back that I'm making up. Plasma's Genesect is the only legally obtainable Genesect from Gen 5. So is the Spring 2013 Meloetta. So is Summer 2012 Keldeo. These are all authentic. I own Black 2, I own White 2, I own Black, I own White. So I have a few extras of some of these event Pokemon. There is no possible way to get my original trainer on any of these Pokemon from the Unova region. So here are the earliest instances of their event distributions that I own as my own my own experience in collecting Pokemon. Here, okay, chat, Generation 6. We have a lot to go over with Generation 6. Here's where stuff gets a little tricky. Before we continue, I would like to remind you, my challenge in this living Pokedex is to acquire every Pokemon legally possible with my original trainer. Right? You realize that Vivillon has, I think, it's more than 10. I think it's like more than 10, less than 20. Roughly, I'll say roughly 15. I can't recall offhand. Vivillon has a lot of forms. Right? Right? And that Pokemon's forms are region locked. Right? Now, I can't exist in multiple regions in the world and complete this challenge at the same time. So we have what is probably the grayest of the gray area exploits that I utilized to acquire every form of Vivillon. No unpleasantness. I did not travel across the world, but what I did do to manage to acquire my own username, my own name, and my own original trainer for all of these is actually kind of insane. There's 2 that are events that I've acquired through trading. Yes, this one, which can only be OTGTS. You might see this one all over the place in Paldea chat, but I'm not here for a Paldea native Vivillon. This is an event-exclusive Vivillon that is very hard to come by, and they made it easy to acquire by making it legal in Paldea, but I'm not here for a Paldea native one. I had to trade for the event-exclusive Cherish Ball GTS Vivillon, and I had to do the same for the Pokeball Vivillon. I had to trade for it, and I couldn't even get it in English. But that's what I had to do. That's what I'm gonna do. Music's crunching. Let's fix that. There we go. Better now? Thank you. So, back to these Vivillons. Tommy, how did you acquire every region with your original trainer? Chat, buckle in. I have a story for you. The way that Vivillon acquires its form is based on 2 things, actually. The region you set your game copy to, and also the region of your 3DS. Chat, I'm not a millionaire. I don't own a 3DS of every region. But what I do have access to is emulators. So with the help of emulating, like I said, this is the grayest of the gray areas of this challenge. And even still, I put in a bit of work, so please bear with me and hear me out. Using emulators, I was able to start a file in X and Y, spoofing the 3DS's region and the save files region to the appropriate region to start a save file, catch a Spupa, thereby getting a bug Pokemon that will evolve into the correct form, creating an egg using that Spupa, that, I can't even remember the base form Pokemon, the little bug, using that bug Pokemon, creating an egg, sending that egg over to another Gen 6 game to hold on to, while I indefinitely wiped my copy, my save file of X and Y, starting it over every time in a different region with a different language, generating an egg, because once you generate the egg, you have your form. You trade all the eggs to a copy of the game, you get back on your genuine save file of X and Y, and you hatch those eggs, and bam, Spupa, or Vivillon, with your original trainer, with your ID, and every single form acquired. That is the grayest of the gray areas that I had to go to acquire these. And the only reason I went through such lengths is because I did not want to sacrifice, I did not want this to be the only hole in my Pokedex where I was not the original trainer. I contemplated settling for the Paldea postcards. You can import postcards from around the world in Pokemon Go to change your available form of Vivillon, but then they wouldn't be from Kalos. So I decided, through the labor of love, on January 22nd, 2024, that I would sit my butt down on my day off and play through Kalos, the first hour of a Kalos game, 10-something times, just to acquire these forms. And yes, you're so right, they will probably announce new forms of Vivillon. Now, we're not done. We're not done yet, chat. We're not done. Here, we're gonna continue through the Kalos region, and we're gonna talk about my next detour here. Furfrou, chat. Furfrou. Here's where I would put every form of Furfrou acquired from the Kalos region if I had them. It is not currently legally possible to obtain a Kalos native Furfrou that holds on to its haircut data. Every time you acquire a Furfrou in any of the main series games and you give it a haircut and you put it in the box, it loses its haircut data. The only game that it will keep its haircut data is Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and the haircut data is not saved when brought from Pokemon Home, not saved when brought into Pokemon Bank. So for now, I know, right? The haircut data. Here I have Kalos native Furfrous for what I was about to say. I was going to say, but before the direct, when I rehearsed this presentation, I was ready to tell you that me and my grandkids would be giving these Furfrous haircuts and putting them back in my home so that I could have XY 3DS era native Furfrous to give haircuts to with me and my grandkids. But it looks like we're only going to have to wait till next year, because we saw Furfrou in that teaser trailer. That was the dog whistle to fans like me, chat. That was there to say, hey, don't worry. We know that Furfrou is hard to obtain for Pokemon Go. Or we know that it's hard to obtain without Pokemon Go. We know. So here you go. Here's your Legends AZ. Here's your Kalos remake. So here we go. That was the very small little tipping of the hat, the dog whistle of, don't worry, main series collectors. Furfrou's coming. You're gonna get to do your haircut soon. This is the only hole in my decks. Now, the alternatives, chat. The alternatives for the naysayer in the back who wants to tell me my dex isn't technically done. Could I have presented to you several Pokemon Go native Furfrous with various original trainer names? Yes, I could have. But I'll be honest with you, that to me lessens the authenticity, because I can buy those trades on the internet, or I could location spoof those trades in a way that, one, gets me banned from Pokemon Go, and two, lessens the authenticity of my Pokedex. So I chose to tentatively acquire 10, or is it 11? 6, 7, 8, 9? No, it's 10. 10 different Furfroos so that I can migrate these into whatever Kalos game is coming, and now we know it's coming a lot sooner than we thought. And I will have for you haircut Furfroos in Legends, Kalos, A to Z, whatever you want to call it, ZA. But let's continue. Now, I'll be honest with you, the Vivillon emulator exploit and the lack of Pokemon Go location spoofed Furfroos are the only holes in this Pokedex, if you would even consider that as such. Everything else, it's smooth sailing from here, friends. We have Sliggoo, we have all our fun little Kalos native forms here. These were actually a lot easier to acquire than I thought. Sure, some of them only have a 1% encounter rate, but what that means is that they hold on to their form data when they breed. So no, Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist are not slowly getting closer to you. They are different forms. These are different sizes. So before we had like tiny, huge, alpha, whatever the other Pokemon were, we had these size differences baked in. So I have all the different size differences of those two Pokemon available for you. Yeah, terrifying, right? We have the forgettable Hisuian Avalugg. We have everything else here. Okay. The final, like, crazy story I have for you here, chat. Okay. I guess this is fun to talk about since we just got the XY stuff, like, announced. Zygarde was introduced in X and Y in the Kalos region, right? However, a new form of Zygarde was introduced in the Alola region. Now, the new form of Zygarde that you acquire in the Alola region has a side quest tied to it where you are collecting items on the overworld, Zygarde cells, to acquire a full form of Zygarde. And once you acquire the full form, it is possible to transform it back into this form. So there's some intricacies with the form differences here and the original trainer data and the native region it comes from. So allow me to explain. You have Zygarde from X and Y. You have the 10% form debuting in Sun and Moon, only possible to acquire with this region mark. Now you have another one of these Zygardes, and you might ask yourself, wait a minute, Tommy, you just told me that it's not possible to acquire this form and have it with the Kalos region mark. Well, what if I told you that this is actually a Zygarde that I caught from Kalos? I imported to Sun and Moon. I completed the Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon Zygarde cell quest, and then transformed it into its final form. And you're also saying to yourself, why do you have two of each? Why do you have two of each forms? Because, chat, these two cannot transform into the complete form, and these two can. Please pay attention. Bring your attention to the lower left corner of the screen where the ability is listed. These two have the Aura Break ability, and by completing the Zygarde side quest, you can transform a Kalos native Zygarde into the 10% form and still allow it to have the new ability. But you cannot do that for the Alola native one. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically this means I have all 4 forms of Zygarde where they are all legally obtainable in their earliest instance, and this is the only way you can get a Zygarde without that ability. It has to come from Alola. So please pardon the Alola region mark. Everything else is still from its earliest instance of its home region. Now, Diancie and Hoopa Unbound do not have my original trainer. They have never been released with our original trainer. I have 2 Alexander's Hoopas because I own X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, so quads and triples and quadruples of events are not hard for me to come by in Gen 4, or Gen 4 onward, honestly. But I digress. Here's Hoopa, here's Diancie, here's even Volcanion has another event. You gotta wonder how many playthroughs I've done. Jay, would you believe I actually have an answer for you at the end of this presentation? I actually audited myself and counted my ID numbers. But I digress. Now, here we are in the Alola region. Not hard here. Most of these have the Alola region mark. Any Hisuian forms will not have the Alola mark, of course. But here you see, through various years, as recently even as about a month ago, I went through and cleared out some other ones. The reason the dates here are so varied, in fact, I'll share with you. Once I finished the Gen 6 Pokedex, I realized, hey, I already have a living dex. I already did most of this, and I bet most of them have my OT from the first time around. And sure as shit, they did. So I have some that date from my original playthrough of the Alola region, and even some that date from the original playthrough of the Kalos region, but I didn't really specify that, but just a fun thing to show you here while we're not needing to pay attention to so many origin marks. Here is, Rockruff needs to be added to your Pokedex twice, because much like Zygarde and its abilities, giving us 2 forms. Oh, and another one I didn't mention, actually, but I'll mention real quick. Here's 2 Greninjas, because you have regular Greninja, and then you have Battle Bond Greninja from the Sun Moon demo with Ash as the original trainer. This Greninja will transform into Ash Greninja. In the 3DS era, they kind of took away that ability in that Pokedex and that transformation. I think it might return in the next upcoming game that we're seeing, but I digress. I wanted to show you that I did indeed get Battle Bond Greninja. I did indeed get Own Tempo Rockruff, and not only is this an Own Tempo Rockruff, but this is the Cherish Ball event Own Tempo Rockruff that was released with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So this is an event Rockruff. You can tell by the Cherish Ball. So both types of Rockruff. And all the Rockruff forms. Let's continue. All native to Alola. I'm bringing my hand down here so you can pay attention to the region. The region mark is the easy way. You don't even have to look at the summary screen anymore. You can look at that clover icon and know it came from Alola now, because we're in the 3DS era, right? So here's all the Pokemon from Alola. I think we've already looped around. Let's continue. Every form of Minior. Very fun. Still want a shiny. It's kind of my dream to have a shiny Minior on my bucket list to this day still. Tapu Koko, all the Tapus here, Cosmog, Cosmoem, Solgaleo, Lunala, all your Ultra Beasts. I was even Ultra Wormhole shiny hunting for fun last night, and I even acquired some. Here is my Magearna, native to the Alola region, which is so easy to get, in fact, chat. All you have to do is take a picture of a QR code. You could make a new save file of Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon and do this right now. And you would get it. Here is one of my most cherished possessions, of course. Here is the True Color Magearna, right? The one I mentioned earlier. Here's the True Color Magearna, awarded to players for completing their Pokemon home ball. So yes, chat, I got to have 2 Magearnas for completing my Pokedex. A bugged distribution that aged like wine, and of course, the already elusive True Color Magearna for completing my Pokemon home. Yes, it literally makes me want to cry. I'm like so proud of the accomplishment, and you should be too, Jamie. Here is Event Marshadow, here's Poipole, here's Naganadel. I played Ultra Sun, I played Ultra Moon, so I have both of these guys. Here's our Ultra Beast. Really nothing interesting here, because they're all from Alola. The Pokemon Go native, Meltan and Melmetal. I wanted to get these from Go because that's the only way to acquire them. There's a Pokemon Home event that you could use for Melmetal, but I don't like to use event Pokemon to represent my living dex unless absolutely necessary. So these 2 came from Pokemon Go. This means I bought Pikachu Eevee, farmed the Meltan box enough to get a Melmetal. Yeah, why does Game Freak let you have 2 Magirnas? I love that meme. Here we are. This is less impressive since it was so recent, but we'll still go over it. The Galar native regional Pokedex here. All the Pokemon from Galar. I guess what's worth mentioning is that I did go out of the way to find an authentic and a phony Sinistee and a Poltegeist. I wish there was a better way to prove it to you in home, but there's not. The only way I could prove it to myself was catching them, putting them in my party, and assessing what item it would take to evolve them. Because for those who don't know, Sinistee and Poltegeist have a 1% chance to be an authentic form, and they evolve with the use of a different item. So if you don't want to do Dynamax raids and constantly look underneath the teacup, you can just look in your items in-game. You do, however, have to farm a daily to acquire a role at the item for an authentic Poltegeist, but I did. It was nothing. It was annoying, but it happened. It did take me about a week, though. Here's the rest of these guys. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. Every form of Alcremie, chat. All 63 forms of Alcremie. Yes, I have all of them. Yes, they're all there. Yes, the Star Suite is an event-only item in the Galar region, which means you cannot acquire Star Suite Alcremie in the year 2024. Yes, I had to hatch 63 Milcery in Galar. I had to bring 63 Milcery to Paldea. I had to acquire all of the star fruit, all the star item, whatever you want to call it, all those held items in the Blueberry Academy DLC. Yes, I had to evolve them using the much more scrutinizing in-game clock of Scarlet Violet versus the very lenient, tied to your real-time clock of Galar. For those who don't know, the Rainbow Suite, this whole line of Alcremie here has to be evolved during Twilight. Twilight is 1 hour long in real time in Galar, right? Twilight is about 60 seconds real time in Paldea. So yes, evolving 7 or 10 of these, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Evolving 7 of these literally required sitting through 2 days in Scarlet Violet, which is not a long time, but is still an extra loophole because it took so long for the evolution animation to play for these 6 Alcremies that I had to evolve Alcremie number 7 on another day cycle in Twilight. Which would not have been the case if I did it in Galar. I would have had a whole hour in real time. But I digress. There you have it. Every form of Alcremie hatched in Galar to acquire the Galar region mark, and brought to Paldea to effectively finish off all evolution forms. Here we go. We're winding down here, but all our legendaries. Cubfu. Okay, chat. Story time. I evolved my Cubfu into this Urshifu. I evolved my other Cubfu into this Urshifu. I played Sword and Shield, right? The only way I could get a Galar native Cubfu was to go start a new save file of Pokemon Sword on my Switch Lite so that my Nintendo Network ID would realize I had already purchased the save data DLC. However, it would allow me to roll a new save file because you cannot save Pokemon main series games to the cloud. So, using a separate Switch and the same Nintendo Network ID with the same purchase of the DLC, I started a brand new save file of Sword and Shield, speedran through as much as the early game, and went right to the DLC to grab this Cubfu and wiped the save file. So this is a Cubfu acquired on another playthrough of Sword that was unfinished, hence the 3 different ID numbers. Told you, Jay. Told you I was going to tell you how many times I played through every game whenever I needed to. What else do we got here? We have Regieleki, we have Regidrago. You get one of, you can only pick one. Here is Zarude. Here is Dada Zarude, both unable to be obtained with your original trainer. These are all from events that happened very recently. So recently, in fact, that I missed them, and I had to trade for them, which is unfortunate. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I played the DLC, so it's pretty easy to get these two. Here's Calyrex. Here's our Hisui Pokemon. Special shout out to both forms of Enamorus at the start of 2023, chat. Remember? You literally watched me play through the Hisui twice on stream. You watched me do this when it came out, and you watched me do this for what we jokingly called Enamorus Percent, where I ran through Legends Arceus a second time, all so that I could get my second Enamorus for this Pokedex. You are witnessing that moment come to fruition right here. When I was speaking about this a year and a month ago, here it is, in the flesh, in Pokédex order, with a separate ID number, so you know I'm not bullshitting you when I tell you I played through the game twice. And last, and certainly not least, we have Galar native versions of Galar Paldea native versions of every single Pokemon that comes from the Paldea region. A few of my good buddies were watching me farm for the Mousehold family of 3. It took me just over 200 eggs to acquire my family of 3 Mousehold. This was crazy annoying to do. One of the last hurdles in my Pokedex that I left for myself. When I finished my living dex originally, shout out to my mod Tara, one of my mod and my good friends from even my pre-streaming days. Tara provided me with my Mousehold family of 3 and my Dunsparce 3 segment, but I did indeed go back and complete that myself. So I have just shown you my family of 3. I'm about to show you my Dunsparce 3 segment right here to prove to you that we went ahead and did everything. Oh my god, yeah, they went ahead and added that new form. They literally did. They literally went ahead and added that new form just to inconvenience me. Literally just to inconvenience me. Thank you so much, Hazel. I really appreciate that. Also, welcome in, welcome in. All the Ultra Beasts, or oh my god, I just called them Ultra Beasts. That's not the first time. All the Paradox Pokemon, all the endgame stuff. The one Pokemon Go exception other than Meltan and Melmetal is the roaming form of Gimmighoul right here that you can only get in Pokemon Go as it stands right now. And here we are. We're wrapping it up. We have everything right here. Authentic, and another one right here. I had the foresight to mark these so you could see the little mark there. That's how I can personally tell. I did not mark the other ones, but that's how I know between phony and authentic. So phony and authentic right there, right there. Here's our legendaries. Oh, thank you for the follow. Yeah, I am not a fan of what do they call them? Encryption constants, evolution constants. There's a word for it. Basically, a number generated that's assigned to every Pokemon that hatches, and only an encryption constant of 0 becomes the form of the 3-segment Dunsparce, the family of 3 Mousehold. I don't want to see another one of those. That was probably my least favorite thing to do. It is tied to personality value, but it is not personality value. It's called encryption constant, I believe, but I could be misremembering. Encryption something or other. Here's the rest. Here's the rest. Everything from Paldea. An extreme abuse of the recently discovered item dupe glitch. Tons of Master Balls that I have in Paldea because of the recently discovered glitch. And that is it, chat. That is it. That is my living Pokedex, where I am the original trainer of every Pokemon legally possible, with all depositable form differences included. And it took me a very, very long time